Karen's clipboard hit the ground with a satisfying thud, her manicured nails trembling as she realized her reign of terror was crumbling. The neighborhood, once her personal fiefdom, was now a battlefield, and she was losing badly. It started with a single citation, a fluorescent yellow slip slapped on my mailbox for excessive lawn height. My grass was half an inch too tall, apparently a crime against the sacred covenants of Willow Creek Homeowners Association. Karen, the self-appointed HOA enforcer, strutted through our cul-de-sac like a dictator in khakis, her tactical vest emblazoned with HOA glowing like a badge of divine authority. She wasn't just a busybody, she was a force of nature, a hurricane of petty grievances fueled by an unholy obsession with conformity. Every mailbox alignment, every unpruned shrub, every slightly faded porch flag, she saw it all, and she judged without mercy. I'm Tom Reynolds, a widower pushing 50, trying to keep my head above water while raising my daughter, Ellie, who's sharper than a tack and twice as stubborn. My lawn, it's not a golf course, but it's not a jungle either. I mow when I can, between 12-hour shifts at the auto shop and Ellie's soccer games. But Karen didn't care about that. To her, my 0.6-inch grass was a personal affront, a middle finger to her vision of suburban utopia. The citation wasn't the first. Karen had been after me for months. My fence was too weathered. My mailbox leaned 2 degrees off center. My car's oil spot in the driveway was unsightly. Each fine was a jab, each letter a gut punch. But this time, she'd gone too far. Ellie, my 17-year-old firebrand, wasn't just my daughter. She was the youngest ever intern at the County Code Enforcement Office, a job she'd landed through sheer grit and a knack for reading fine print. When Karen's latest citation landed, Ellie's eyes narrowed like a hawk spotting prey. "Dad," she said, flipping through the HOA bylaws. "This woman's about to eat her own rulebook." Karen's tyranny wasn't just my problem. The whole neighborhood was suffocating. Mrs. Alvarez got fined for her son's basketball hoop. The Patels were cited for unauthorized marigolds. Old Mr. Jenkins, who could barely walk, got a warning for a cracked walkway. Karen's citations were relentless, her power unchecked. She'd weaponized the HOA board, stacking it with her cronies, retired accountants, and bored housewives who nodded along to her every decree. Whispers of rebellion had started, but fear kept us in line. Nobody wanted to be the one to challenge her and face the fines, the liens, or the public shaming at the annual HOA meeting. But Ellie wasn't afraid. She'd spent her summer buried in county codes, learning the arcane rules that governed our little slice of suburbia. "The HOA's power isn't absolute," she told me one night, her laptop glowing with highlighted PDFs. "Karen's been overstepping. The county has jurisdiction over half her rules, and she's been fudging the rest." Ellie's plan was simple: expose Karen's overreach, rally the neighbors, and flip the script. I was skeptical Karen was a bulldozer, and we were just a bunch of tired homeowners, but Ellie's fire was contagious. The spark came at the next HOA meeting, held in the community center's stuffy auditorium. Karen stood at the podium, her vest gleaming under fluorescent lights, reading off violations like a judge delivering sentences. When she got to my lawn citation, Ellie stood up. The room went silent. "Miss Thompson," Ellie said, her voice steady but sharp, "your citation violates County Code 47.2.3, which supersedes HOA authority on lawn maintenance standards." Karen's smile froze. Ellie kept going, citing chapter and verse, her words slicing through Karen's smugness like a hot knife. The neighbors shifted in their seats, eyes wide. Karen tried to shut her down, banging her gavel and shouting about procedure. But Ellie was relentless, pulling out a printed copy of the county code and reading aloud the clauses that stripped the HOA of its teeth. The room erupted. Some cheered, others gasped, and Karen's face turned the color of her beloved petunias. She stormed out, vowing to escalate. That's when things got ugly. The next morning, Karen doubled down. She issued citations to half the block, claiming retaliatory noncompliance. My mailbox got another slip, this time for obstructing the aesthetic harmony. The Patels got hit for their marigolds again. Mrs. Alvarez's basketball hoop was tagged with a removal order. Karen wasn't just fighting back. She was declaring war. But she'd miscalculated. Her overreach lit a fuse. Ellie organized a meeting at our house. Neighbors poured in Mrs. Alvarez with her famous empanadas, the Patels with their quiet fury, Mr. Jenkins leaning on his cane, his eyes blazing. Ellie laid out the plan, a formal complaint to the county, backed by a petition signed by every homeowner. Karen's been banking on our silence. Ellie said, "We're done being silent." The room buzzed with agreement, but I saw the fear in their eyes. Karen had power, legal, social, financial. If we lost, she'd bury us in fines. The confrontation came on a humid Saturday evening, the kind where the air feels like it's holding its breath. Karen showed up at my house, flanked by 2 HOA board members, her clipboard loaded with fresh citations. She demanded I sign a compliance agreement or face a lien. I stood on my porch, heart pounding, as Ellie stepped forward. "You're out of line." "Karen," she said, holding up her phone. "Recording. The county's already reviewing your violations." Karen laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. "You think a teenager's going to take me down? I've been running this neighborhood for years." That's when the neighbors appeared. Mrs. Alvarez, the Patels, Mr. Jenkins, and a dozen others emerged from their homes, tools and hand rakes, shovels, clippers like a militia of the fed up. They didn't touch her, but their presence was a wall, unyielding and fierce. Karen's smirk faltered. "You've bullied us long enough," Mrs. Alvarez said, her voice shaking with years of pent-up rage. "We're done." The Patels stepped forward, holding their petition, now with 50 signatures. Mr. Jenkins, trembling but defiant, pointed his cane at Karen. "You're not the law here." The standoff stretched on, the sunset painting the scene in fiery hues. Karen's board members backed away, sensing the tide turning. She clutched her clipboard like a shield, her eyes darting. Ellie held her ground, her voice calm but lethal. "The county's coming for you, Karen. Your rules don't hold up." The next week was chaos. The county launched an investigation. Prompted by Ellie's complaint, Karen's violations piled up unlawful fines, forged signatures, even a shady deal with a landscaping company skimming HOA funds. The neighbors rallied, showing up to county hearings with stories of harassment and overreach. Social media exploded, with Hashan Kuni trending locally. A grainy video of the standoff, posted anonymously, racked up thousands of views. Karen's empire was crumbling, and the public's outrage was her karma. But it wasn't just about winning. I watched Ellie grow through this, her courage, her refusal to bow, her belief that fairness mattered. She'd taken on a Goliath and shown us all what was possible. Karen resigned from the HOA board. Her vest retired, her citations voided. The neighborhood elected a new board, with Mrs. Alvarez as president and Ellie as an advisor. We tore up the old bylaws, replacing them with rules that prioritize people over perfection. Looking back, I see the cost of silence. Karen thrived because we let her, because we thought compliance was easier than resistance. But change starts with one voice, one spark. Ellie was ours. Stand up to your Karens. Fight for what's right, because even the smallest battles can rewrite the rules.